All right. Alrighty, alrighty. Testing, testing. All right. Whew. All right, ladies and gentlemen, or should I say, ladies and germs? I don't even know anymore, and quite frankly, I don't care. But having said that, it's your boy Ron 322. Although tonight I'm, for the moment, right now, less Ron 322, more of just Ronnie. Hence the title of the video, just Ronnie. Reason being is because I sat down last weekend and finally got to see Sailor Moon Eternal. I know it's a little off because usually I don't do anime film reviews or anything like that. But this one stuck out a little more because, well, I'm a dad. Don't get me wrong. I watched Sailor Moon when I was a teenager. Go ahead, judge me. I freaking dare you. I don't care. I'm 36. I can do this all day. But having said that, let's go over the fun stuff, right? So the good thing is, action for Sailor Moon standards, pretty damn good. The plot, simple to follow for the most part, if you're familiar with the lore, right? Characterizations, hands down. If I was to tell you who were my favorite Sailor Scouts from the main five, Mars and Jupiter to this day. Before it used to be Mars and Venus, but now it's Mars and Jupiter. There's a reason for that, and I think it has a lot to do with Sailor Venus's role, where I kind of felt like I was like, really, that's it? Like when realizing her actual role and how she is, I was like, nah, I just didn't care as much. Even though she's supposed to be like the strongest one aside from Sailor Moon herself. But oddly enough, I found myself taking really good liking to Sailor Neptune and Sailor Pluto. I dig them. I like them. Uranus was pretty good too. I don't care if they say Uranus. Let's call it what it is. This is America. Call it Uranus. I don't care. Fuck it. Whatever. You want to get mad with me? I don't care. But it is amusing nonetheless. So, Chibi Moon is Chibi Moon, and then of course you got basically the shadow version of of Princess Serenity in this whole fight. That's the main bad guy. Yada yada yada. The good points: animation quality on point and consistent with Sailor Moon Crystal. Now, if you've already seen the original Sailor Moon anime, you missed nothing. Absolutely nothing. Reason being, OG Sailor Moon already did this arc. Dead Moon arc, already done in the original Sailor Moon. So, if you synced it, you missed nothing. Now, for those of you that actually care about manga to anime adaptation fidelity, this is new. The reason being, Sailor Moon Crystal, when it came out, is essentially a reboot. But what they did here, of course, fresh new animation. They didn't even bother doing a copy and paste of original Sailor Moon because that would have been just lazy. The new style, of course, is a little over polished, but they eliminated all filler, all extra Americanization of things, completely eliminated. All the stuff that made the original Sailor Moon, quite frankly, annoying and a drag to watch. They basically pulled the DBZ Kai, removing virtually all filler, strictly manga storyline, which is why if you go on Hulu and watch Sailor Moon Crystal, it's 3 seasons, and each season is a main arc. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. This movie is essentially, with both parts, basically Season 4. because it covers Dead Moon arc. And there are 5 arcs in the story of Sailor Moon. 5 main arcs. And there you go. Having said that, that's where I like the execution. But the thing that stuck out, hence the video, is what I felt was a little bit uncomfortable. You know how they say that some jokes in comedy don't age well, especially in the 21st century? Certain relationship dynamics do not age well in context of Sailor Moon's subplot to 2021. Now, I'm not going to go on a limb here and rip the creators or the writers and say that, they had XYZ thing in mind. But let's think about it, right? Technically, Usagi and Mamo-chan are the reincarnations of Princess Serenity and Endymion. Now, at first, no big deal, right? Because Endymion and Princess Serenity, presumptively adults, with a child in the future, whose name is Chibiusa. But here's the weird part, right? Reincarnated as a college student and someone that's just fresh coming out of middle school, about to roll into high school. And they meet reincarnated as a guy about to enter college and a girl entering into middle school. Now, unless I missed something, that's some creepy territory there, folks. Like, dude is like just about of age. And okay, movie 4, she's in high school. He's a college student. Grown ass man. She's just entering high school. Of course, when, as I mentioned in Persona 5 Royal, in America, here in the US, middle school is usually 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And usually high school is 9, 10, 11, and 12. Whereas in Japan, and this is also evidenced in Persona 5 Royal as well. So I kind of use the game as a reference for this. High school is basically 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. It's 3 years instead of 4. Having said that, she's hardly 14 in the beginning of the whole narrative. So in the beginning of Sailor Moon Crystal, girl's barely even 14. By the time they meet, by the time they're in Dead End Moon, she's 16. Homeboy, though, 3 years older than her. At first, think about it, it's no big deal. But the thing is, you got to think about it from a modern society aspect, right? If you hear about a 16-year-old girl dating a 19-year-old dude, assuming that they got approval from the parents, okay, fair game, whatever. But let's be real. Does he ever meet her parents? No. Not even the mom. Mamo-chan never meets them. Basically, dating behind her parents' back. So something went wrong, and they found out, ooh, something about it don't smell right. It don't feel right. It don't rub the right way. Think about it. You're talking about a dude that's in college. And here's the part that really makes it creepy. The dude is naturally attracted to girls who are younger and still maturing. Go ahead. Hunt that shit down on Wikipedia or even in a video of yeah, go ahead. Look that up. Mamo-chan over here got some predatory tendencies when you think about it that way. Something don't rub right. Something don't feel right about that. And me as a dad, I was like, this is what my daughter's been watching. And the thing is this, as kids, we didn't think nothing of it because it wasn't really an emphasis. But then when you find out that's part of the underlying subplot, it's like, hold on now. And then you find out that Ray, who is Sailor Mars, her grandpa is the one in charge of the shrine that she's part of. The dude has a thing with praying after underage girls. around her age, and then even try to make a pass at one of the Sailor Scouts about getting married. And she tries to play it off as, oh, he's just being goofball. But thing is, you cannot ignore that shit. Like, the dude is a legitimate certified creeper. You can't turn a blind eye on that. So, given the dynamics there, and add in the factor that upon the realization that they are reincarnations of their past or future selves or whatever, their bodies grow and develop accordingly. Hence why all of a sudden Sailor Moon suddenly grows, her legs get longer, her chest gets softer. We're going to get into that in a second. But the weird thing is, he's always looking tall as heck. And how is it that he's 19 years old, taller than a freaking basketball player, bro? Seriously. Like, I'm like, is he the type to be like a power forward or something? I don't know. Maybe a small forward at best. I'm just saying. But then, here's where the creepy shit rolls in. It's with Chibiusa. Had it been just her simply jealous for attention, whatever. It's expected, child trying to get the attention. But the electric complex got rubbed in so hard in in this Sailor Moon Eternal arc. They rubbed it in mad hard. Like, she was envying the attention that Sailor Moon was getting because she wished she had long, thin legs like her and a soft chest so that, watch this, he can look at her and pay attention to her in the same way that he does to Sailor Moon. That's creepy. Like, I'm like, I wonder if any of that crossed the creator's mind. Because I'm like, son, I don't feel right about that. I'm like, this is the kind of shit. Like, and then to add a little more salt into the equation, you got Pegasus, right? Who is a unicorn? Come on, people. I ain't stupid. Come on now. Now, it's not the unicorn part. That's not the part I have an issue with. I don't care if he was I mean, never. It's no big deal that all right. He has the name of a different breed of fantastical horse. I don't give a shit about that. I could live. I could live with that. My problem is when you have what looks like 7 or 8 year old Sailor Scout getting kissed by this damn horse who transforms into a boy that easily looks like a teenager. Like twice her height. Come on now. If y'all don't see anything wrong with that, somebody just really didn't rub me the right way. But once you put all that shit aside, the anime's watchable. It's fun, you know. Granted, it doesn't have any music references like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or the really wild bizarreness of it. Doesn't have the super fight of Fist of the North Star or Dragon Ball Z. Okay. Doesn't have the really grim, very relative to current political affairs like Attack on Titan does. So if you measure it by them, it's nothing but straight up, girly circle jerk in there. But on its own, it's watchable. It's just those subplots that really rubbed me the wrong way. They really did. Will I get over it? Duh, of course. But this is more to just let people know, listen, kids will sometimes watch what they'll watch. But it is important that us as parents, we sit down and talk with them just in case if, they try to mimic something from there or they think a certain thing is okay. And then it's like, whoa, hold on, kid. Listen, we got to sit down. Let's talk about this. Where did you get this from? Where did you hear this or see this? And then dissect it, because that's what responsible parents do. They try to educate the kid while they're young so that they know that certain things are okay, certain things are not okay, certain things are age appropriate, and then some things are just a no-go because it's just not natural. Now, the reason why I mentioned also the whole reincarnation and while they're age or whatever, conveniently, this movie comes out fresh off the heels of Pride Month. And as we all know, in the process of people celebrating, their freedom of expressing their sexual identity, regardless if it's one thing or another, or their sexual identity in general, the way I see it, as long as you're not hurting a kid, as long as you're not hurting an animal, and as long as you're not hurting other adults, and as long as you're consenting, fair game. But of course, last we checked, a couple of years ago, we had a jackass who was 50 something, left his wife and his family to be an 8-year-old girl. The whole trans age identification. Then you got the whole P-file thing, which of course they've tried to hack their way through into the conversation by calling themselves MAPs. I don't want to say it out loud because it might get suppressed on YouTube, might get suppressed on Facebook. But let's go with P file. So let's call it for what it is, right? Without that suppressing my exposure. And I heard some because they're like, yo, we're just celebrating everything that we enjoy and identify as consenting adults. You guys are not going to come and hack our community. And those of you that have been calling them out on it, awesome. I commend y'all because I'm like, y'all, them fuckers need to be called out at every turn because because in doing that they also fuel people that are extremely conservative to be like, aha, you see that, all that type of stuff, and that's hurtful. It really is. Because I mean, come on, have one of my kids' aunts. She's the L in LGBTQ. I have an uncle who is the G, the capital G. I know different people of different, orientations and different identifications. And again, adults who are consenting, who aren't running around trying to make havoc out of people. They're not looking to hurt nobody. So when you got these scumbags, these P files identify themselves as MAPS or MAP, whatever, and then you got this movie coming out, it just reeks of that lolly boy, P file B crap. I'm not cool with that, And in my opinion, of course, neither should anyone who has brain cells, who has the common sense to understand, you know what? Yeah, that's not okay. And you know what? Feel free to comment below in the video. Feel free to express your disagreements, and that's okay. But just know that the second your ass tries to justify, you know, a minor dating someone of age, like it's no big deal, I'll call your ass out. I will. But I also want to bring out something else too, and it is in relation to this, right? It's also age relativity of dating compared to now, compared to back then. Because, for example, not all of us, but a lot of us, our parents, they dated while one of them was of age and the other one was not. One couple I know, the husband or now ex-husband, 18 years old, the girlfriend, or now ex-wife, 14 years old. She was fresh into high school, and he was just fresh on his way out of high school. Granted, they known each other, their whole lives as kids and everything, but things like 14, 18 is like, But by today's standards, oh, that just reeks of statutory R word. And of course, I'm not going to say it for obvious reasons. I'm not trying to get. And again, that's by today's standards. But back then, They lived in a different time, a different place, a different culture, where if in fact you were dating someone that was older than you of a certain age and you were younger by a couple of years, chaperones were a thing where they made sure there was no funny business going on. Because if something did happen, shit can go down. It's 2021, that shit does not exist. I really don't think that shit exists in our modern American society. That whole 14-year-old and 18-year-old dating clean with chaperones, that shit don't go on no more. And if it does, I'd be extremely, extremely, extremely surprised because the culture today is extremely different. I would dare say there's no sense of true innocence anymore to some degree because it's like everything's so pushed in your face now compared to back then. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for educating, I'm all for keeping our children informed. And even us adults, sometimes we need to inform ourselves too because sometimes we forget shit. We gotta get reminded. But the thing is, different world, different time. It doesn't even go. It goes back to what I remember when it came to the whole 6ix9ine thing. He got caught, in my opinion, with what was basically the norm in our neighborhoods when we were around his age or younger. Please hear me out on this. Number one, he's from Bushwick. Number two, I was born and raised in Williamsburg, but in the side of Williamsburg that's close to Bushwick and Bed-Stuy. And with that, let me tell you, I'm going to keep this simple. There are a lot of people who are my age now who did a whole lot of mess around with people well above their age grade when they were in their teens. I kid you not. There were girls messing around with a guy that was like barely just hitting 18 while they were 13 and, doing the old, pop circumstance. Yeah, some girls, they were, popping and locking with someone who was clearly 19, 20, or even old enough to be their dad while they were 15. And then some people, as soon as that quinceañera hit, as soon as that Sweet 16 went by, they opened up shop. Next thing you know, didn't even get past the age of 17 or 18 and got pregnant with a guy who was, again, above age. And then what makes it tricky, a lot of them, their parents, did not know what was going on because it was on the DL. They did it behind their backs because if they knew, cops would get involved, all this, and that. Tekashi got caught in basically what was the norm in our neighborhoods. Doesn't make it right. Of course, it's inappropriate. There's no way of excusing it. There's no way to justify it. But then it opens up a whole other can of worms of, were these parents being bad parents? Or were they just not paying attention enough? Because the other problem too growing up is the fact that sex was seen as very taboo. Especially in conservative Christian circles that are predominantly Hispanic Latino in the community. Sex was never really properly discussed. What is safe sex? What is proper age of consenting sex? How to protect yourself? STDs, this and that. Like, it was all literally just wait until you get married and then lose your virginity. But not really talking with them about like, hey, listen, realistically speaking, something might happen, but if something happens, here's what you do. So you protect yourself so that, things that you don't want happening don't end up happening, so on and so forth. And by that, I'm talking about unexpected pregnancies. Because you still got a young generation today where unfortunately their parents didn't learn lick of shit. And now their kids are going through the same exact cycle. But parents don't really sit down and educate them. And next thing you know, these kids are going raw dog. And then they have a kid. But then a whole bunch of other conflicted stuff go down. And well, A lot of stuff. Whew. Who would have thought that watching Sailor Moon Eternal would result into this type of conversation in about 25 minutes? Sorry, folks. This is what happens when Ron322 checks out and it's just Ronnie rolling in. It gets a little real, gets a little raw. Not exactly perfect. So it's rough around the edges, but hey, opens up the conversation because sometimes we got to talk about this real shit. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, feel free, hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, hit the notification bell for the next time I'm on, which is probably going to be in like an hour and a half because stuff is popping. I would say follow me on Twitch, Ron322 official. I'll be there. I'll see you guys. Peace. Over and out like chicken grease.